What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Music Review Live Series. I am your host, Juggernaut of Multi-Platinum Production Team, Arkatech Beatz.
Arkatech Beatz.
If it's your first time here, welcome. Make sure you're hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button. We're about to get into these music reviews in just a moment. It's a Sunday before Memorial Day. If it's your first time here, like I said, I'm Juggernaut of Multi-Platinum Production Team, Arkatech Beatz. Shout out to my partner, Mike Trauma D. We are the producers for Big Pun, Prodigy Mob D, Raekwon the Chef, Jadakiss, The Game, Max B, French Montana, Wiz Khalifa, Lloyd Banks, Shorty Low, Killer Mike, Freddie Gibbs, and the list goes on and on. We're doing this live series now for a few months. Just trying to help artists, learn this game. We're also looking for new talent. You know how it goes. Submit your music to the link on the screen. We've had well over 1,200 submissions. Shout out to everybody joining our live. Streaming on all platforms. Rob Molly, what up? We're just waiting for this algorithm to heat up. We're going to get started with these reviews in just a moment. Producer, make sure you're jumping into our live group, school.com, Future Producer Society. Let's go. Wiz, what up? Beat we cooked up the other night on our live stream. Make sure you check that out. Jump into these reviews. What's his name? This is Angel 1C featuring Jacoby, Triple X Tim, Tim Tam 60. Shout out to everybody jumping into the live. We're about to jump into this review real quick. Let's take a listen to it. This is a paid skip. They have paid to skip the line. There's over, I'm going to say it's over 500 people in the queue, man. And we're listening in the orders received.
Stop like September the 60th. The only one mess with the gun. I just make myself a fun. I feel so jealous. Number 431. Dead. Haters are just jealous of the malice. I've heard it all before. Fellas, what more do they tell us? Yeah. This music starts crazy. Moments like it should.
Hold on a second, man. Can y'all hear this? Can y'all hear what's going on?
Let me pass my time to Jacoby.
Yeah, I'm not sure where this was really going. Shout out to Tim Tam 60 for submitting it. For off the first listen, man, we have something that's really just kind of, in my opinion, is overloading, right? So we have a situation where the music is really just overloading, and it's beyond, where it needs to be in terms of the mix. And then what I find weird is that it's overloading, but the vocals is low. You know what I'm saying? So you got a song that's mixed bad, but the vocals is overloading, which is just kind of strange to me in itself. I can't quite make out the lyrics. Some of that stuff is inaudible. Rob Mully, what up, man? Just trying to make sure, like this, if you're gonna submit this stuff, man, we got to make sure that the music is at least audible, at least the vocals is audible. So it's hard for us to piece together anything else out of here. Meaning, it's hard for us to determine where the hook is. It's hard for us to determine like how the verses are supposed to be structured. Like I don't hear any of that stuff. So I know it's an in and out kind of record. It's supposed to be one of those records that kind of got that vibe, but. I'm telling folks, man, like, yo, a lot of that music, man, is about to go belly up, man. You know what I'm saying? Y'all see the numbers. Y'all see the Iceman numbers. Y'all see what's happening. Stone Cold, what up? Y'all see the numbers. So here goes the shift. It's shifting. So we can't be doing that stuff anymore, man. That stuff really isn't really where it's at. I understand there's different genres of music. Everything can't be one way, but if we're gonna do it, we got to at least make sure that it's audible. We got to make sure that it's mixed correctly. And we got to still make sure that we're following certain song structure and rules. So thank you for submitting that, man. Shout out to everybody that's jumping into the live. Appreciate you, man, for submitting that in. This one right here is called Prospect. It's produced by K Knight. So we're going to listen to this, a beat that he's submitting. So for my producers that are submitting, man, make sure y'all are jumping into the school.com/Future Producer Society. Take a listen. Shout out everybody jumping into the live. feel like this part of the beat should have played sooner, right? See where we had the whole record where the record just kind of dropped, right? Like that drop is cool, but it's not what we need for if you're trying to move this beat in terms of trying to get it pitched to an artist. It's like we wouldn't do the drops there. What we always say to do is that we want to keep the groove going, but we want to basically strip it down to give it space, like how it is right here for the artist to put their vocal performance on. So I would have switched where we did the drop to where it is right now, and make this the main part to rap on. 3, 2, 1. Everything is supposed to come back right here. Alright? So even with the beats, man, remember when you guys are submitting the beats, you definitely want to make sure that you're following some sort of song structure. You have to set up the song structure for your artist, because 9 times out of 10 right now, you're going to be emailing beats. And because you're emailing stuff, you're not going to be able to get into the room, man. And if you're not getting into the room, these songs are going to be set up strange, and you're going to have an issue where you're going to have your beats that you're submitting to an artist, and the way that you typically structure it is the typical way they're going to rap on it. And if you don't have it segmented properly, if you don't have it arranged properly, then that's how you end up with songs that have bad song structure. Right? And you'd be like, damn, why that song sound like that? Why that song sound disjointed? Because not everybody has good songwriting skills, right? Not everybody is a 50 Cent. Not everybody is a Ja Rule, or not everybody is a Andre 3000 or a Drake, you know what I'm saying? Or Jay-Z, Kanye West. Like, these are great songwriters that understand, where things are supposed to be, and when it comes to making a hit record. So, as a producer, if you're going to submit tracks to people, for people to jump on, it's incumbent upon you, right? Pause. It's paramount. It's super important. Let me use a smaller word. It's super important for you to make sure that you have the best song arrangement possible, and you want to make it very, very simple. Small intro, straight into the hook if possible. Verse, hook, and you out. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially if you're trying to sell beats. If you're trying to sell beats, that's the way. If you're trying to get placed, that's the way. Any other thing is kind of you're putting yourself up against everything else, right? And then what you're doing is now you're putting yourself at the mercy of the artist. And then you're putting yourself at the mercy of an engineer that you don't know. And a lot of times, sometimes engineers are in your favor, but if you'll find a lot of times that they're not in your favor. It all kind of depends, you know what I'm saying? Because you're not there and they're doing the work. You know what I'm saying? So, it's a kind of a thankless job. So if you got guys that really understand their position and do what they're supposed to do, then they'll help to get it structured properly. But for the most part, most guys won't do it. Most guys will just record it as it is and make you fend for yourself. And if you're not there, oh well, too bad. You know what I'm saying? So this says voicemail by Wanky Beats. I guess this is another beat. Shout out to all my producers. For my producers that are in the building, make sure that y'all are jumping into the school.com/Future Producer Society. We're teaching the music business, and we're also teaching music production techniques and all that other good stuff. This is a voicemail trap type beat.
Turn it up. In case nobody's asked you this today, are you okay? I never meant to hurt you. I never meant to fall out
riffing is ill. So yo, this beat is kind of dope, man. I feel like it could just be slightly louder. Um, and what I would probably do here is I would probably just relegate the beat where it has all of the strings and those things. Relegate that to the hook, right? And then we have the piano, and then we have that other kind of that mandolin in there somewhere. We got to kind of see if we can find a way to strip that out in some places to make sure that there's a clear segmented place for your verses, right? We want it to kind of be stripped down and be very, very clear where those verses are, man. This is where we want our vocal performances to land. See, like right now, it's kind of doing this thing where it's the beat coming in and then the stuff's coming out, and then it's dropping out and it's doing this, that, and the third here, but that's still not giving us like a clear place where, hey, I need the verses here, hey, I need the breakdown here, and I need the hooks here. Like, we have to make sure that these things are very, very clear musically, and they have to repeat themselves, and they can't kind of happen and occur arbitrarily. So, shout out to Wanky Beatz on this, man. For the most part, I feel like you picked all the right sounds. I feel like, if we could get it slightly louder, right, which maybe, maybe something slightly on the limiter on the master, maybe, but nothing too crazy. But for the most part, I feel like you got like the general gist of what it's taking to make these beats. So I believe that's like, that's probably like 90% of the problem, right? So it's not the melody, it's not the way the drum pattern is going. Like, all of that shit is tight. You know what I'm saying? It's just really more of an arrangement thing, you know what I'm saying? Just making sure that we're arranged properly, and just making sure that if you got a song that has like this, that's a trap type beat, it needs to be loud. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have to find that fine line between it being loud and before it overloads. So we got to kind of get it to that point where, the joint is banging, because that's the expectation of a trap type beat. Like, the expectation is that it's going to actually bump. And things can get fixed in the mix, but remember what I told you guys is that you can't leave that up to anybody else to get your record that way. It has to sound like that from when it's being played initially. So as soon as we started off, boom, like it got to hit that number. So we're jumping to this next joint. What is this joint called? Taste by Baybar. It's I got a bunch of beats tonight. yo, like how it like, like how like I'm listening to it and I'm listening to it like rhythmically, it's fine. Like in terms of where the drums are and stuff. I feel like the intro's too long. He said Pot Shot Boys, right? Boy Swagger, what up? But the way that bass line is being played out, boom, 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 do 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 do. Like it's actually to me like it feels like one of the keys is off. Like that's what you're hearing. Like you're hearing something that's you're hearing something that's supposed to work, but it sort of doesn't work. It's because like it feels like melodically like parts of it is off. Like it's partly out of tune. Like we're choosing notes. Like we're forcing those notes into this progression that don't really seem to work. You know what I'm saying? So like it's kind of like not really giving us. It's not giving us the vibes that we really want to make sure that we're having with it. You know what I mean? So it's not musical. It's like it's working, but it's not really working. So he has all of the elements there. Kaz, what up? He has elements in here, and it's like he has the right drum sounds, I believe. I feel like he has the right tempo. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like all those things are there, but yeah, man. It's not doing what it got to do. Kaz, man, thank you, man. Hope everybody having a good weekend, man. I just said let me jump on today. I'm gonna be out tomorrow. Running around with these kids. And then we had something scheduled for tomorrow for the end of the month for my premium members, but I moved that to I think Thursday. So just check the calendar so you can see what night that we have that set up for. So I changed the time for that for my premium members for our meetup. So what I'm thinking about here, man, is I don't know, dog. Like like you know what I'm saying? Like I want this. I want it to work. Like I want it to work, but it's not working for me. You know what I mean? So it's like, I want it to work. I want it to have the right elements and stuff, but it's just not doing what it needs to do. This is Rave Estrella. All right, let's see what it sound like. Shout out to my folks at Rave, what's this? Casa de la Playa. Excuse me. Casa de la Playa. Yeah, I feel like that record could have started a whole lot earlier. Intro is entirely too long. At least for my taste. Now some folks will feel like, hey, if you're doing the rave thing, that hey, it's supposed to kind of build up. But even in the case where you hear some dance music and some rave music, it's not taking that long to build up. It gets there a little bit faster than what I'm hearing. Is it too much appreciated? And to my premium members, man, my bad. I've moved it back to Tuesday. We were scheduled for Tuesday, not for Monday. So I don't know why I thought it was for tomorrow, but it's scheduled for Tuesday at 9. So we back on the calendar for that time, so we're good, right? But for the most part, and that's for my folks in the Future Producer Society. But what was I saying? yeah. Um, yeah, musically, I think it sounds pretty okay. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's just to me it needs to get started a little bit faster. You know what I mean? No, nothing too crazy. What's this joint called here? Look Easy by Mazzy Music. Let's take a listen to that. Let's see what it sounds like tonight.
Marzi Music.
I made this shit look easy. Shawty so wet, yeah, wetter than a squeegee. Mom on a haunted mansion, no Luigi. Mom and gold is the end up on the TV screen. Driving at night so fast, need to slow down. I'm a cowboy, yeah, we can have a hold down. Turn around, walk 5 paces, have a shootout. Turn around, walk 5 paces, have a shootout. 2 a.m. right now, feeling alright. Got a blunt by my side, and sirens at the fall up in the Sprite. And this bitch, she call my phone, tryna give me advice. So I know I'm up in her head like some lies. First time that I saw her, she was so fine, she was divine. By the end of the night, had to make her mine. By the end of the night, had to make her mine. Little bro say that he's scared of the demons, and he told me that I keep on winning. I pray to God cause I know that I'm sinning. Know that the devil keep laughing and grinning. Little bro say that he's scared of the demons, and he told me that I keep on winning. I pray to God cause I know that I'm sinning. Know that the devil keep laughing and grinning. I made this shit look easy. Shawty so wet, yeah, wetter than a squeegee. Mom on a haunted mansion, no Luigi. Mom and gold is the end up on the TV screen. Driving at night so fast, need to slow down. I'm a cowboy, yeah, we can have a hold down. Turn around, walk 5 paces, have a shootout. Turn around, walk 5 paces, have a shootout. We gon' have a shootout by the rodeo downtown. Got a big ass chopper, yeah, it won't make a sound. Got a silencer up on that bitch. Run up on me, I promise I'm up in the city. Run up on.
Yeah, man. Yeah, shout out to Marzi Music, man. I feel like this has like some decent elements in it, and it just takes a minute to kind of get into his rap cadence because his voice is kind of like, he sounds like he's talking with his mouth closed. You know what I mean? Like he's not. Like, he sounds like he's talking, but he's not opening his mouth, and he just kind of gritting his teeth when he's saying the rap. So it's not like he's really trying to enunciate the rap. You know what I'm saying? So it's take a minute for you to kind of catch it. So I think that can be probably maybe a vocal performance / mix thing. I was trying to really pay attention to his hook. I feel like his hook had some
Yeah, I promise I'm hitting them lit. Run up on me, I promise who's end up on the TV screen. Driving at night on a haunted mansion, no Luigi. Mom and gold, I made this shit look easy. Shawty so wet, yeah, wetter than a squeegee. Mom on a haunted mansion, no Luigi. Mom and gold, end up on the TV screen. Driving at night.
right there. So to me, he should have just repeated it. But son, I make it look easy, and just kind of just keep it going again. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I feel like he had he had something that I think if he just repeated it a little bit more, that it would kind of have a little bit more. It would stick a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, I think it's pretty decent. I don't really have too much of an issue with it.
Fast, need to slow down. I'm a cowboy, yeah, we can have a hold down. Turn
I kind of like where his voice is on the music.
around, walk 5 paces, have a shootout. Turn around, walk 5 paces, have a shootout. We gon' have a shootout by the rodeo downtown. Got a big ass chopper, yeah, it won't make a sound. Got a silencer up on that bitch. Run up on me, I promise I'm up in the city. Run up on me.
Yeah, don't run up on him, man. These guys talking that talk, man. I don't know, man. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like music is shifting away from that talk. Even though, I personally don't have. I probably should have an issue to it. It probably is detrimental to the community, but I like it. But technically, I can't. If I can't play it for my kids, it's kind of like not really what it should be. But I digress. Shout out to my man, Marcy Music, man. That's Look Easy, man. I appreciate him sending that in. Let's listen to this next joint called Disappointed by, what's that, Shania? Bunch of SoundCloud music tonight.
I'm no angry, I'm just agitated. When I see you, I'm just disappointed. How you lying to your new boyfriend? Does he know that you are a bitch? Cause you lied to my face when I knew the truth. Then you told me I ain't gotta worry about you. Then let's just slide for a while. And now it's been 8 months long and I'm still in doubt. I'm disappointed. Yeah, I'm disappointed with the way you dress now. I'm disappointed with the friends you have. I'm disappointed with what you like to act. I'm disappointed that I didn't see what was hiding behind the smiles and tears. Now I cannot see you're not the kind you see. Now I don't believe when someone's kind to me. Now I don't reach out, someone needs me. Now I'm disappointed for the child.
Yeah, shout out to these guys that are submitting this. What's the Shania? We got to work on this song. It's definitely a little bit pitchy. This song is a little bit. It has a hook, but it's not really much of a good one. And Richie, man, what I'm about to say is probably going to be offensive to a lot of people. But look, man, AI kicking y'all asses, right? Like these type of songs ain't gonna fucking fly the way AI shit coming out. The AI shit coming out too good, right? So we got to be careful now. Cause what happens is that people will get used to the way that shit sound coming out of AI. Give it a year or two, and people are gonna. The expectation is that the real music needs to sound as good as the AI, and if it's not, it's gonna be a problem. You know what I'm saying? So guys gotta learn real fast. We can't do the pitchy stuff. We can't do the songs that got bad song structure. Can't do the joints that don't have the right type of melodies and poor vocal performances. You know, like you're gonna have some of them diehard folks out here that's looking for imperfection in music, and you're gonna have them other folks like, hey man, the standard has been raised. So you know, I'm hoping that folks are really paying attention, man. The stuff that's coming out of AI, man, is sounding a certain type of way, and I think that all of us that are in this business have to stand on notice that listen, there's a different standard that will be ushered in another 2 to 3 years, right? And if you're not hitting that tier, you know, you're definitely not going to be able to garner the attention of anybody in the business. You know what I'm saying? So we have to pay attention, man, and we have to learn quick. You know, so for those who are not really getting it, like, you got to get it, and you got to get it fast. Shout out to everybody that's jumping in on the live. I'm going to listen to one more before I try to wrap this up and get this thing out of here. This is called Blackout.
Baby, I've been crying in your arms, your presence. I must be in heaven. I must be in heaven. Baby, I've been crying in your arms, your presence. I must be in heaven. I must be in heaven. Baby, I've been crying in your arms, your presence. I must be in heaven. I must be in heaven.
Hard, baseline hard.
Drop that shit, DJ. Drop that shit.
I guess that's a little bit of a drop. Not much else going on with it.
I must be in heaven.
Like the vocal sample was on. Now, if he did this vocal sample with all the other sounds that was running, then that could have been a defined hook. Bassline crazy though. Drums crazy. go.
Drop that shit, DJ. Drop that shit.
Yeah, not bad at all, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Definitely one of those things, man. Just not long enough, you know what I'm saying? Pause. You know, not necessarily like a structured situation. I'm not sure if that's I'm not sure if that's not the intent here. You know, in terms of kind of just, you know, letting something to be heard, but nothing to be quote unquote put into a fashion that it could be pitched. But, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. You know? It's like a song starter, right? To a degree. So it feels like that. So I'm sure everybody's had a chance to listen to these Drake albums in the last 3 weeks, and there's been a lot of think pieces and a lot of this and a lot of that, and you know, you got a lot of guys going on interviews, you got a lot of guys doing stuff like this all over the place. Got a lot of guys talking about the stuff, and you may say, well, Jug, what does all of this shit mean? Well, what does it all mean? What it means is that rap is no longer dead. So that's the first thing. Rap and hip hop are no longer dead, people. It has been saved. Right? And when I say that it's been saved, meaning that now that we got some decent numbers, now that we got some folks that's listening to some music again, now it starts to feel like the energy is going to be back in place for the summer. And what will start to happen is then we'll start to see new artists popping up, and then we'll start to see some more capital investment. That's really the main thing, man. The main thing is really making sure that the industry as a whole is going to be able to thrive. And I think that's what I think people probably didn't understand with this whole, you know, beef and the everything like that. Because what the beef did, and what the beef really did, is beef killed collaboration. That's what the beef did. Beef killed the collaboration in hip hop. And what they did is they stopped the number one collaborator in the last 15 years from collaborating. Like, that was the big mistake, right? Where people put themselves up and decided to destroy collaboration for the person that was helping them the most. That was a mistake. That was a miscalculation. And then the industry suffered for it. And the industry is going to continue to suffer for it, you know, because, you know, I still see guys, you know, still talking slick. I see guys still doing what they're doing. And, you know, they're not realizing that, you know, the whole issue of trying to, you know, diss another guy and this type of stuff is bad for business. Like, it's bad for business. Like, it's bad for business. It doesn't really work. You know, it's bad for the overall ecosystem of the genre of hip hop, and, you know, and for really overall for the music business. So it really that's not helping these guys, man. It's not helping these guys to sell records. It's not helping you guys to, you know, fulfill your legacy or to have a greater impact. Like, none of that stuff is like, it's not helping, you know. So what I'm hoping is that enough people are taking away from, you know, what we saw in the last 2 years to make some changes, man, and to make sure that, you know, we're not just, you know, jumping into things that we don't need to jump into and, you know, making fools of ourselves with that. But that's my 2 cents on that for right now. You know, I don't really like to talk on it too tough because it's like, I'm not really one of those guys, man. I'll be out here talking about this people's shit like that. You know what I mean? But what I do want to talk about is making sure that my people that are in my groups, you know, making sure that we are creating. Like, you know, we're going into summer, right? We're going into 6 months of the year. If you haven't released a project, we got to start talking about releasing a project. If you haven't been releasing music, you got to talk about releasing music. We still have to continue to talk about AI. We still have to continue to talk about creating your own ecosystems, right? And what do I mean by that? Meaning, like, guys should have websites. Guys should have places where their fans or their people that are listening to their music can find them and can consume them, you know, without distraction. I know people like different marketplaces like Airbit and BeatStars and stuff like that. But remember, what happened is you're putting yourself in the marketplace for a lot of competition. Right? So, I don't think that guys should, spend their money to promote their music to drive their traffic to an ecosystem where you have to compete for attention. So I think that is probably the one thing that I probably don't like the most, is that it takes a lot of work to get people to watch. It takes a lot of work to get people to listen, and it takes a lot of work to get people to convert to pay stuff. It takes a lot of work to get people to want to buy anything. It's a lot of work. And what I don't want to see happen is that, when you put that energy into your posting and doing those things, that you're sending your traffic into a competing ecosystem. And also, remember what's happening too. A lot of these guys are making backdoor deals with AI. So a lot of these places where a lot of music is being gathered or being hosted, we don't know if there are back-end deals being done for AI, and if people's music is being used to train AI with or without their consent. You don't know. You know what I mean? So, now is the time, in my opinion, where folks really should be having their own ecosystem where they can control, where their music is. They can control who can consume it. Then they can also control, the customer data. I think that's probably the most important thing, is knowing who's messing with you, who's buying. I know guys say, hey, you can install your Pixel, and your Pixel will do all of this stuff. Like, yeah, I don't know if you can rely on that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you can rely on them telling you that you can put your Pixel on their platform and it'll carry over to your platform. You see where I'm going with that? It's like you going to Spotify and say, hey, Spotify, can you tell me can you pay me for all of my streams? And they'll say, well, hell, you only got 10 streams. Well, how do you know you only got 10 streams? Well, we're telling you only got 10 streams. Right? So, but who audits you for us to know that it's true? You all forgot you own the platform, so you can tell us whatever you want to tell us. So that's where the problem is. All right? So that's where the problem is. So we want to put ourselves in the position that we can, kind of own our data. We want to be in a position where we can own, we can understand the behavior of the customer. Yeah, these folks are taking the music, man. So as much as I would say, hey, it's easy for guys to, set up their stores on these ecosystems because they have all the payment processing and everything is already set up. I don't think the trade-off is good enough. I totally think you should have your own website. Yeah, I think you should have your own website. I know it's a little additional. I know it's an additional cost, but it's a cost of doing business. I don't think anybody should really be heavily reliant on those are the third party joints. Even when you can use your own domain and use their stuff in the middle, I still don't like that. You know what I'm saying? Because you still put somebody in the middle. You know what I'm saying? There's still somebody in the middle of someone in the middle of your payment processing and stuff like that. You want to make sure that you have something that you can kind of control it. We use Shopify, but there are a lot of other options for musicians. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm at with it. I need guys to start paying attention to. I got a new book that's coming out. I got a new book that's coming out, and it's based on my experiences. You know what I'm saying? And I call it rough title being the record label robbery. So I wanna really ring the alarm on the way that guys' master recording royalties are being robbed from them. I have to ring the alarm on it. You know, I've had some experiences where, in just dealing with other rappers, dealing with other artists, dealing with other producers, helping them trying to get their money. People that reach out to me. I'm just seeing something that, folks keeps thinking that it's nothing, but it's very notorious in the way that, you would think, right? You would think that, in the age of SoundScan, right? Like, let's go past. Let's start with SoundScan. That's old. SoundScan stopped. SoundScan / Luminate, Nielsen. These are all billboard companies. So you would think that, there would be information that relates to, what was sold, when it was sold, where it was sold. And even for when we were independent with Sean, and we had a top 10 Billboard record. And, at the time we had to take our sales data along with where we sold the records physically, the zip codes. You had to connect to the Billboard server at the time, and you had to put together this ASCII code. You had to put together this ASCII code report that you would have to now, get your login credentials straight from SoundScan, and then you would have to submit them up through a portal, and it used to have to be submitted in a certain type of way, and it would only take like ASCII text and certain things, and you'd only have to be able to put like the UPC numbers along with the zip codes as to where you sold the units and what was the retail prices and stuff like that, and then you would submit that, and then that would go into their system, and then they would determine if it was worthy of charting for the week. So I remember us, selling a bunch of records. We had an independent record, and we sold a bunch of records overseas. We had some record buyers that came through, and they bought these records from us, and they were a single that Sean had. So he had basically, we had made a deal where they wanted him to sign the records independently. So he autographed all the records. It was about like 500 records or something like that. So we wind up selling all those records in a week. So of course that was enough to chart. You know what I'm saying? Back then it was enough to chart. If you move 500 physical units, it was enough to chart. So it charted, and then Billboard was calling me and all these different types of things. And it was one of those eye-opening things where I was like, okay, I can see how the system is flawed, right? So this is a long time ago. This is maybe like, I have to look really at the dates, but this is like maybe like 2005, right? 2004, something like that. So long story short, where I'm really trying to go with all of this is, in the new book, I'm talking about, how with all of the things that we have that's supposed to be the tracking mechanisms for producers and artists to help them get paid on their royalties, for some strange reason, those things aren't happening, right? Like, I should be able to go to a record label at any time, and I should be able to say, hey, I need to know how much we've sold year to date, right? Because the number one thing of a record company is to do what? Is to sell records, keep track of what you sold, and then whatever you sold, you're supposed to basically take out the difference for expenses, advances, recoupment, and it's supposed to be some sort of accounting system that's supposed to tell you what everybody is supposed to get. You know what I'm saying? At any particular time, right? If you have all of the agreements and you got everything in place, but what we're starting to see is that they don't know they don't know what they owe you, and they won't tabulate what they owe you until you actually initiate contact. So they're not necessarily keeping a record, especially of the older stuff. They're not keeping a record of these things. You know what I'm saying? So they're only keeping records of stuff, as per the streaming era. But anything prior to the streaming era, them folks, they act like it doesn't exist. And that's a problem, you know what I mean? But I continue to say this to say that is that, you know, it seems to be like a big. I don't want to call it a scheme, but I'm gonna say, you know, it feels like a scheme to delay, to continue to let you wait, to have you follow up until there's no end, and everything is to kind of push you out of the window for auditing, because you know your contracts only allow you to audit within a certain time frame, and it definitely seems to be a ploy to make sure that you're pushed out of the statute of limitations so that there's no real recourse for you. So, you know, it's a game that, you know, I don't like. It's a game that I've been seeing going on. You know, I've been working with a bunch of labels and a bunch of different things for a while, and I think now I have all of the documentation. I got the proof. You know what I'm saying? I got all the stuff that I need to have in order to make a viable, you know, just a viable alarm ringing for everybody to know, like, listen, this is what we got to look out for as producers, man. Like, period. So I'm hoping to have this finished in another few weeks, and, you know, hopefully to get this out here, man. And I just need guys to understand what's happening with that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's something that it's been on my chest for a while. You know, I've been looking at it and I've been trying to say, man, do I really want to talk about this? But I'm like, man, I have to. I can't allow these folks to continue to take advantage of us this way. It's terrible. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to allow it to happen. So, you know what I mean? I gotta say something. I'll say my piece. For those who want to follow along, they follow along. For folks who want to protect themselves, you protect themselves. You know, and I saw a video the other day where a guy said, what a guy said? A guy said, if your attorney works for the label, you're gonna need to get another attorney. But you know the truth is, if you got any attorney in this music business, they all work for the labels. You know what I'm saying? Like, they all work for the labels because you don't got the money to pay them, right? Your money comes from the deals you make with the labels. Like, let's be honest, right? If I do a producer deal with an artist, right? When they pay me, then I pay the attorney. You know what I'm saying? So when you think about it, you know, they work for the label because the label got to pay me before I pay them, right? So unless you have your lawyer on retainer, you know what I'm saying? And even if you have it on retainer, it may not be enough. You know, so you got to realize, that it's kind of a little bit of it's a scheme, man. You know what I'm saying? They play good cop, bad cop. And then you start to say, well, how did this guy get such a bad deal? Or how did this guy get such a bad deal? It's because the lawyers were only dedicated to making a deal. You know, they were dedicated to making sure a deal occurred, but they weren't making sure that the deal was good for you, right? These are two different things, right? So you can have a situation where you're going to get a deal, but it doesn't necessarily mean that your deal is good for you. You know what I'm saying? Because remember, what they're trying to do is they're trying to make sure that a deal is being done and that their relationship where the bread is at is preserved. Don't let that go over your head. But shout out to everybody that jumps in for the music reviews. We're doing a little bit more than that tonight. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about a little bit more than that. Shout out to everybody that jumps in. Shout out to everybody that's been submitting their records. Shout out to everybody that's been following. Shout out to everybody that has been supporting. Shout out to everybody that has been sharing. He said it's dubstep. I'm sorry, hold on one second. Joker, what up? Royal, what up? Royal, you gotta submit it through our portal, and it's first come, first serve. But shout out to everybody that jumps into the live. I appreciate everybody, man. I'm about to sign off out of here and, get ready for tomorrow. We'll be taking the day off tomorrow, but we will be back on Tuesday. and we'll be doing tutorials. We'll be doing the review. We'll be doing the tutorial, and then we'll be doing the meetup with my premium folks in my school community. So my folks who are the premium members, we will be linking up, and then we'll be able to have that group session. All right. So if anything, I'll shout out to everybody. Y'all be safe. Peace. Don, what up, man? Just chilling tomorrow, man. Kids go to the pool and all that stuff.